Right, guys, so as I said, there's a lot to go over here today. I'm going to try and keep it really quick, really concise, and just get the information out to you all. So on Tuesday, we heard that there might be some additional spot testing on Wednesday. At midnight, Steven actually confirmed that it would be happening. Unfortunately, on Wednesday, the testing got pushed back a few hours. This was due to some kind of throttling issue at the new studio. This is also the first time we heard that they are officially back in the new studio. We know that they've been moving in, but hopefully once they get everything set up, get the problems sorted out, it's actually going to help streamline things and make each development cycle a lot quicker. But anyway, when we logged in on Wednesday, everything felt much smoother. It felt really good, and Steven even went as far as to make a post in the NDA channels that he thought that they might have squashed this AI controller issue. For those who don't know, there's a system on the back end that controls all of the AI. It generates new AIs for new mobs spawning in and is supposed to delete the AIs for dead mobs. Unfortunately, there's some kind of issue where the AIs are not getting deleted properly, so it's stacking up on the back end. And this isn't something that the players actually see, but it does affect server performance, and the longer the server is up, the more it stacks up, the more rubber banding, the more lag, and the more issues just you see overall. Hopefully they're going to get that fixed soon because that is it's kind of the choke point that's really holding them back from pushing forward with content. Um, and also there was apparently a critical error for the siege testing that day, or in the build for that day. So they pushed the siege testing back till Thursday. On Thursday, we got in and we just went straight into siege testing. So we got leveled up, we got all of our gold, we bought up our gear, and just went into the siege. And honestly, this was the cleanest and most fun I've had in any siege. We've been testing on Lyneth, which is the most populated of the servers. Been having a bunch of issues where the gates, the control points, and the siege weapons actually bug out, and you're not able to interact with them, and you can walk right through them. But this is kind of an issue in an objective-based gameplay if you can't interact with the objective. Then it just kind of becomes a PvP Zerg battle. There's not too much to do, so it's definitely not as fun. But we logged in, we were on the attacker side first, and it was super close. It was I think it was 90 on 90, and we were at one point able to push them back into the throne room. We only had 33% left on channeling the throne to win. Unfortunately, the defenders were able to take back, but this is still awesome because it's heavily stacked in the defenders' favor right now. And then on the second test, we were the defenders, and we were actually down about 20 to 25 men the whole time. Unfortunately, there's nothing that kind of equalizes the sieges, and there's not intended to be, right? If you can't muster enough defenders or attackers in the actual game, that's on you. But during that siege, early on, we were able to kind of rush in and steal the Frost Dragon from them. And then we used that buff to just kind of carry through and hold them off for the rest of the siege. We had Envious on our side, and they were doing an awesome job of using small strike teams to take back the control points. And this just really goes to show that really good and coordinated gameplay can definitely overcome numbers in this game. Yeah, I think this objective-based gameplay, these sieges, are really shaping up to be something super fun. And we haven't even seen all the content for them implemented. Once we get all the different types of siege weapons, and we get the NPCs that you can hire and all that stuff in, I can see these just being an absolute blast to participate in. And then we were supposed to test again Friday. That's the regularly scheduled test. It was originally scheduled for the servers to go live at the same time as the live stream. So I'm actually kind of wondering if they were originally planning to do an in-game live stream. Obviously, that didn't happen, and this was because they were doing a pretty major change to the build. They were implementing the back end for the new combat system. This doesn't mean we got much in the way of combat changes. We did get passives, but the combat itself wasn't changed that much. The auto attacks weren't changed. They just implemented the back end, which will make it possible for them to start making iterative changes moving forward. But anyway, when we first logged in so when we first logged in on Saturday, because the test got pushed back from Friday to Saturday, everything felt really good. Skills felt way snappier, skills felt more impactful, and then and then everything just went to shit. We were in the town waiting for the siege to start, and we had a collision issue where everyone's characters just bugged out, and we could just run through houses and walls and all of that stuff. They were able to get that fixed, and then they started the siege. Right upon logging into the siege, like half of the people just crashed. They had some Unreal Engine 4 error, myself included. And then when you logged back in, you were just falling through the ground. The unstuck wasn't working. Relogging wasn't really working. You tried both a number of times. You eventually were able to kind of get it fixed. However, you'd go another minute or two and just it would happen again. It did seem to kind of stabilize towards the end. And we did get a little bit of testing in after about half an hour into the siege, but at that point, a bunch of people had already left. The attackers outnumbered the defenders by 2-1. But there are also some crazy bugged numbers. There's some insane health regen and mana regen. Like small skirmishes just couldn't happen. Like I was a tank and I was up against like 4 or 5 people and it took them so long to kill me because of how much health regen I had. But another interesting thing is it seems with the back end server or the back end combat changes, they implemented a little bit of physics. So like the siege weapons, the trebuchets, if you stood in front of them as they were coming towards you, they would actually like punt you back a few yards. And I don't think I wasn't taking damage as an ally. I don't know if the enemies were taking damage, and I don't know if they will in the future or what. But I'm sure there's going to be a bunch of iterative changes to the physics. They also turned the mage's black hole on, which was super interesting. You would just watch bunches of like 20 players get pulled into a black hole, then another black hole would drop, they get pulled into that one. It was yeah, it was just like it was absolutely crazy. I wish I could have gotten footage of you guys because I was having an absolute blast with it. I mean, obviously it needs to be changed. There's no DRs on CC or anything like that, but it was just hilarious to watch happen. But anyway, as I said, with it being 2-1, we were the attackers. We got into the throne room, and we were able to channel the throne down. And I actually channeled the last 5% on the throne, and I watched it right as it ticked to being complete. And we should have won. The entire server just crashed. There's some kind of major critical error. And I know Norlin also had an issue with a major critical error, the other big server. So something was obviously going on here. And yeah, they didn't do a second test. They just took it down. Hopefully they'll have it fixed for the next testing. But yeah, I guess the major thing here is after there were a couple times I was very hopeful. I was like, okay, we should see it. I think we can get an NDA drop. And right now, I'm pretty worried because when the NDA drops, you're basically showcasing the game. And right now, it's not a very good showcase. Unfortunately, it's just not looking good. And the internet is going to go crazy and get mad at people. And yeah, I'm a little concerned. Yeah, I guess that's the only way to say it. What I will say is if the NDA does drop, it's up to us to come together as a community, try to inform people, make people understand that this is a true alpha. They're working on fixing things. What they see is not going to be close to the final product. If you don't like it, you know, take a step back and come back when things are much more polished. But anyway, that's about all I got for you guys today. Hopefully I kept it pretty quick and concise. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next video.